boys and girls, welcome back. Mrs. Orendorf here. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to make a paper weaving sweater with a bear. The bear is in wintertime and he is sporting his best sweater. It's up to you to show us how fancy his sweater can get. Now for the background, we are going to make a watercolor crayon resist of Vincent van Gogh's Starry Night. So you need paper and a pencil to get started. And then we will need some watercolor and some extra paper. Here is an example of how we're going to make our paper weaving. All it is a loom and then your weft, which is the strips of paper. All right, now this is taking it apart. You are going to build it from scratch. Let's get started. We are going to begin drawing our bear by folding our paper in half, corner to corner, as best as you can, and gently press. That's going to show you where the halfway point of the paper is, okay? And then you can slightly draw a broken line. Okay, this part is the sweater, this part is for the head. And if you want to add a little hat later, you can definitely do that. We are going to make a curvy line as best as we can. It's almost like an upside down U, but a little bit wider. And then we are going to trace this with Sharpie when we are done. I always recommend you draw with pencil first in case you make a mistake. The ears are a little bit towards the sides and it's the letter C. Make sure that they are about the same size. Okay? Just like an M&M. And then you can draw a smaller one inside. Okay. Now for the mouth area, you can do this where you draw a curvy line like a circle. Okay, so I'm gonna make a curvy line here. Make sure that it's the same size on both sides, and as always, as best as you can. Okay, and then we're gonna draw an oval right about here. You can make it smaller if you want to, and I always like to add just like a little moon. That's the light reflecting on the nose. You can make the mouth, you can make a line going down from the nose, and then you can make a curvy line on one side and a curvy line on the other. You could even make a little tongue. Now for the eyes, you can do curvy lines like this one, or you can do circle eyes like a real teddy bear. Okay, and then we're gonna draw the pupil. He can be looking to the side. So curvy line, and then the pupil, which is a circle. Looking at something for sure. Now, if you want to leave some space for the neck here, maybe for a scarf, you can definitely do that. So straight line, and then connect. Okay. And make like the little part of the scarf that's like blowing in the wind if you want to. Okay, now for the shoulders, we're gonna make a straight line and then curve down. Same on the other side. Straight line and curve down. Okie dokie, so far so good. We need to make a straight line at the top because that is going to be our loom. So I have a ruler here. You can sort of measure how many inches it needs to be on both sides. So here I have 4 inches. And so I'm gonna do the same thing over here. Find the 4, and then I'm going to do 4 inches. And then connect side to side and draw your line. Okay, I was pretty close. So Let me go ahead and get rid of this. I like to use my ruler as my guide because most rulers are 1 inch wide. Okay, so this saves us time from measuring and connecting. So I'm going to line up my ruler here against this edge. I'm going to hold it down. Stay, ruler, stay. Good doggy. Okay, and then from this line, I'm going to trace a line right against the ruler. Okay, it's very important that you trace right against that edge of the ruler. Sometimes kids put the ruler down and then they draw a line wherever. Well, that's not really using your ruler properly. Okay, I'm going to slide my ruler, line it up against that one line that I drew, and trace a line on the other side. And you're gonna keep doing that till you get all the way to the end. Now it's time to add just a little bit of detail for the background. Vincent van Gogh has a really pretty crescent moon in his sky. All it is a big C and then a smaller C inside. You can even draw a big circle around your moon. Okay, now I'm drawing with Sharpie so you can see. I'm switching back to pencil. So you're gonna draw your moon, draw your circle, and then a few stars. You know how to draw a star, and I tell them it's like a little person giving you a hug. Triangle for the head, triangle for the arms. See, his arms are open, ready to give you a hug, and then triangle, triangle for the leg. Okay, head, arms, legs. Just imagine a little person. All right. So you keep doing that as best as you can. Maybe it's like a little dancing star. And then we're gonna do just a few swirls like Vincent van Gogh's Starry Night. Okay? You can do swirls around the stars too. That would be so pretty, right? Very carefully trace everything that you drew with Sharpie. You can color in the nose and the pupil and the eyes. When you are done outlining with your Sharpie, if you notice any pencil marks that need to be erased, you need to do that before we start painting. I am ready to add color to the strips that are going to be part of your weaving on the sweater. For this, I've chosen some temper cakes. You can also use just watercolor. On this one, I tested a little bit of watercolor. So let's see what the temper cakes do. You are going to dip your brush in the water and you activate these temper cakes just as you do watercolors. So rub, rub, rub until your brush turns the color of that paint. And I'm going to make just like bubbles of color. This is gonna be like a paint splat sweater, but it's also going to have some strips of paper through the sweater, so don't worry about it being super perfect. I am now rinsing my brush and I'm going to switch to a new color. I'm going to choose orange because if it blends a little bit with the yellow, it's okay because they are both warm colors. So making a paint splatter there and a paint splatter here. A little more water, paint splatter here. Paints, and you just keep going. For the top area of your bear, we are going to use a yellow crayon for the stars. And with that same yellow crayon, or you could always use a different shade of yellow, you are going to do some dashes around to make it look like it's twinkling. It's gonna be a little hard to see them, but once you do the blue watercolor on top, it will show up very nicely. are finally ready for our weaving part. After your bare background and sweater have dried, you are going to get a pair of scissors and you are going to cut along these lines that you drew with your Sharpie, and you are going to stop at this stop line. Okay, so we are calling this the stop line. Stop, like a stop sign. Okay, so I'm going to hold my paper carefully, and from the bottom, I'm going to press the blade of my scissors and stop at the stop line. Okay, and I keep going until you have cut all of them very carefully. So I am done cutting my strips. It's gonna look like a little hula skirt right now. Make sure that you don't cut near the edges so that it doesn't fall apart on you. Okay, so I have here some fun papers I'm going to weave with. Now, because I used warm colors for my paint splatters here, I'm going with mostly cool colors or in whites and blacks so that we create contrast. So I'm going to start with my first strip. Let's go with this one. And when you weave, you go under and then over and under and then over. So you can start the opposite. Just make sure that they're taking turns. Okay, so I told my students, if this is like a little worm or a little snake, it's weaving in and out, in and out. Okay, so now the cool thing about having these strips is that you can lift them and then have your little worm or your paper keep going. Okay, if it's a little too long, that's okay. Don't worry. Now we want to push it as close as we can to the stop line. Okay, now I'm going to go with a different color. I think I'm going to go with this pattern. Kind of matches the sky. Now, this one's going to do the opposite as the first piece of paper. So if this fancy paper is under my sweater, this one's going to start on top. Okay, and then here it's doing the opposite. So we are creating like sort of like a checkerboard pattern, but with paper. Okay, and then under, up, and then over, and then under, and then pull through. And then with your fingers, you want to push them as close as you can. You want corner to corner, okay? And this is pretty forgiving because you have so much going on that if it's not perfectly aligned, it's not going to show up as much as if you had like black and white, or red and black. Okay, so this, I'm just gonna keep going under, over, and then I have an extra little step for my friends that love a good challenge. The next thing that I'm going to challenge you with, is a thinner strip of paper to put even more accent on top of your weaving. Now this end here, if you have a lot of leftover space, you could always squeeze in an extra piece. Just kind of like, this is over, then this one goes under. But I don't know, if you don't have enough space, I would not risk it. I would just leave it, okay? I'm just gonna show you, but I think I'm going to leave mine alone. Pretty good. Okay, but I'm going to slide it out because it's not enough. It's not as thick as my paper. So now, here's the extra little challenge. I have a thinner strip of paper. In this case, I chose black. And I'm just gonna feed this on top of the paper that was there. And this is going to, or you can do the other one, like the blue one. Or if you have little strips of paper that are cut wavy or zigzag, sometimes they have fancy scissors. This one's kind of really tight, so I've got to like lift a little bit. There we are. And you keep going. Okay, I'm just gonna do one to show you. Okay, the last step. With a glue stick, we are going to glue the ends. Okay, here's my glue stick. I'm going to lift this, put some glue there. Now don't worry if you have a purple glue. Sometimes they make them with color so that you see where it is, but it dries clear. And press. And then the other side. Now, if you are brainstorming already, you're thinking, what about the ones underneath? Don't panic. Flip it. And then you just lift the little pieces that are loose. Again, just a little bit of glue. Oh, this one has double. So I'm going to glue those together, and then I'm going to glue that down. And here we go. Now for the bottom, there's nothing really to glue because I took my strip out. So you're going to get just a little bit of tape. I suggest using a little bit of masking tape. You could even do this on the sides too, if that makes things a little easier for you. And this is going to keep everything in place. Okay. Ta-da! Here we are. And here we are. And then you flip it, and you're almost done. Almost there, guys. With scissors, you are going to carefully trim the extras on the edges. And to finalize, to finish off our wonderful project, here is an extra little challenge. If you want to add more texture to your sweater, if you get fancy yarn or any kind of yarn and you have a plastic needle with a big eye to fit the yarn through there, if you don't have a needle, you can also use a paper clip. So if I wanted to do exactly what I did with the black strip of paper, but in this case add yarn, I would start here and go under the piece of papers that are not glued down. Okay, make sure you can get in there. It's kind of like sewing on paper, but not really. So it's really cool, and it should just slide right through. Oh, we glued that one. Okay, so you can just, it's pretty fresh, so you can just pull through, and ta-da. And you have pretty little yarn. And then on the other side, just with a little bit of tape, you can tape that down to the back. Now this project could go on and on and on. Like for example, if you made a little winter beanie hat, you can make a little pom-pom with yarn and then glue it on there. If you wanted to put some yarn, little pom-poms on the scarf, you could do that too. So guys, for this project, the sky is the limit. You can go all to town with all your beautiful decorations. I hope you really enjoy this project, and if you want, you can make this into an ugly sweater project and start hanging all kinds of stuff and just have fun, get creative. See you next time.